Hi guys, welcome to Black Angus Reviews. I'm going to be covering the Black Magneto potential race swapping for the MCU. And an interesting thing, a lot of people have covered it well. Definitely go check out Jeff Hicks' part 1 of this new series he's doing with Culture War stuff. The first one is about Black Magneto. Him, along with the Observant Lineman at Geeks and Gamers, and others have given really good takes about race swapping a character that, you know, his Jewish identity is kind of core to his character and his outlook. And some people have talked about how civil rights or slavery, these are different beasts. They don't compare in the same way in certain aspects, even though, you know, it's oppressive regimes or societies. I think they're onto something. I agree. But I haven't seen anyone really take on the idea of how to maintain Magneto's Jewish identity while updating him from the World War II origin, because it's definitely dated, what's that, like 80 years in the past now? It's hard to, even with you spin mutants live longer, so it's hard to spin that origin for current generations. So I'm going to give you my ideas, just a little bit quick historic research and or knowledge, and hopefully this might key you off to learn more about these events. All right, so first idea, 1967, I think, the 6 Days War. Israel was fighting Egypt, Syria, and I think Iraq joined in. They're surrounded on all fronts, and it was one of the most famous preemptive attacks done by a country or government. Israel wiped out the Egyptian Air Force. I think they took out other military installments or what have you of Syria and or Iraq. Iraq and Syria did have some success shelling or bombing Israel, though. So you could have Eric's family be, you know, immigrants after World War II to the new nation of Israel. And so you can maintain like that German Jew origin, or Polish or what have you, but have his family get shelled during this era where they're hyper aware of all their enemies trying to kill them, like directly with, you know, military efforts. So you can build that resentment to humanity that way. Next idea, you go to 1989 or later, Israel. The terrorist organization Al-Qaeda started suicide bombing Israel in 1989 and after. That could be another way to build resentment and build this kind of a skewed but definitely relatable view of humanity and its callousness and whatnot. And I think a better one that you could tie in with the beginning of the MCU and tell a different pathology from a different angle from the start. Go back to 2008 with Iron Man. Iron Man was taking on the 10 Rings terrorist organization and in that film in Afghanistan. And what you could do is maybe somewhere in the Middle East, if not Israel, Eric lives in this, you know, Jewish community or something. Maybe, I'm not sure if there's Jews in Afghanistan, but maybe somewhere around there in Jewish community, they're also suffering from the 10 Rings group. But because Stark's weaponry is not involved, he never involves himself in that dispute, and therefore Eric loses family members or gets oppressed himself, and therefore resentment builds with Iron Man. They've done that multiple times with the Mandarin's origin, apparently with Mysterio. Didn't see it, don't care to, but you know, you could use Iron Man's playboy billionaire angle as selfishness as a jump start to Eric's resentment with humanity and stuff. You know, and why do I think they won't do anything like this? Use other somewhat key modern historical points to make Eric's to retell Eric's origin. Well, I think it's Sana Amanat, the VP at Marvel. She's a Muslim, and there's this whole culture today where you can't be critical of Islamic people because all of them are brown as far as the media is concerned. So you're a racist if you are critical of them, which is just nonsense, because Islam is an idea. Yes, it's heavily invested in the Middle East and brown people, quote unquote, but again, it's an ideal just like Christendom or any other religion. It transcends race, even though it can be clustered in one spot in the world. But I think there's that bias there where they don't want to actually do some work. And you see it. Richard Mark covered a Miss Marvel comic a year or two ago where the writer was, I think, a convert to Islam, and they were telling the history of like the origin of Pakistan from India, and they just totally skewed everything and made it seem like, oh, the poor Islamic people. So yes, I'm sure there were lots of Islamic innocent refugees that ended up becoming Pakistani in that civil war, what have you, but you know, there's bad people on both sides of every war, and so you shouldn't just skew it to, you know, unless it's a biased perspective that you want to tell as a writer or from the character. But yeah, those are my ideas and why I think they probably would not ever think to actually try to adapt a story that would be sensible and maintain the Jewish identity of Eric. And the ideas I gave were all meant to be Israeli-based Jews, or at least in the Middle East. I'm sure there's other events in modern Jewish history that you could pull from to adapt a new story. Let me know. Let me know if there's any interesting periods of history for the Jews that I haven't covered. Let me know what you think of the ideas I presented. And go check out Jeff Hicks, World Class Bullshitters, that new Magneto video. Black Angus, check me out tonight. I'll be having an interview with Josiah Rises from the Geeks and Gamers team on my show at 9 p.m. Eastern. Look forward to seeing you all in the chat. Have some questions ready for Josiah and myself. Take care.